Thank you so much for taking a minute out today to talk about your book and your life and everything that's going on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So before we get into your book, Loved You, Hated You, I want to begin with this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing everything about our lives. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you live life today?
Oh man, that's a loaded question because 5 years ago, my life, it seemed when COVID hit, everything turned around. We just talked about my dad living in Chicago, but when that happened, he was 88 years old. So I had to bring him to California. Well, I didn't have to, but I brought him to California and took care of him. And then he got COVID and I got COVID and I had to take care of him while I had COVID. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But so that was something. My son at the time, 20, whatever age he was, they stopped going to school. Um, and he's the kind of learner he needs to be in front of a teacher. He can't be behind a computer. Then on top of that, my son's dad died, then my dad died, and then my son got jumped. And all of this during this pandemic. And so I've been hell on wheels since then.
Yeah.
I did lose my dad after that, not from COVID, but during that time. And my son is still today suffering from mental health issues from that because he was betrayed by his friends. So this pandemic, and then so because of all of that, I actually lost everything because I had to close down my business. Um, my son became really suicidal. So I had to close down my business to make sure I was with him 24/7. So we moved. I mean, it's been hell on wheels from this pandemic. So that's how I've been living my life, but somehow I
Wow.
squeezed out a book.
Wow.
Yeah.
So has that book been a saving grace for you?
It was just, I never even thought about it like that. I'm one of those people, it's when I get out of it and I look back like, oh, that's why I was doing that. And it
Yeah.
probably was just a diversion. I tried, I've been in this industry for 30 plus years. So I try to keep things moving. That is how I make money. So I have to keep the wheels turning. So probably, I would probably say, yeah, I'll look back at it in 10 years and be like, oh, I probably needed to write, do that book at that time.
Yeah. So let's get into exactly what you do on a daily basis. And to do that, I'm going to put you in front of kids. They're 12 years old. It's career day. You're at a school, and one of the kids wants to know what you do for a living. How do you answer them?
They won't be asking me to come do that. I'll tell you why. So my daughter, when people would ask her when she was younger, she's 25 now, what does your mom do? She'd go, I don't know, because it depends on the day.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
a singer-songwriter. That is my main gig, right?
Yeah.
But I also have a nonprofit that I run. I also have what's called the Empress Company, which is my retail store. I'm a filmmaker. I'm working on a couple projects now. I have a production company. So I don't know, what do I do?
Wow. You're a creative force. So
Yeah,
take me back to your roots. You're from Chicago,
I'm from
correct?
Chicago, born and raised.
How were the seeds planted for you to be a creative and to get to this point where it's film and music and books and all of these things that you're doing? How did all of this evolve into your life today?
I think most importantly, I think it's just DNA. My mom was a professional model. She was the first Black model for Helene Curtis. And so the part I didn't tell you, growing up, I was actually training for the Olympics as a gymnast.
Wow.
So, but my mom was one of those, every time I expressed interest in something, she was like a trillion percent behind it. So when it was gymnastics, you're going to the Olympics. Then I wanted to be a musician, so I'm also a flautist. And then I wanted to be a singer. So she always like, you can do whatever you want to do as long as you put your mind to it. And that's what I heard every day. There was never that you can't do that. So when I decided I wanted to move to LA, she was like, absolutely not. We don't know anybody in LA. And I'm like, I'm going. So she found me a cousin out here, and they actually happen to travel to Chicago every year. And so I followed them back to LA, and that's how
Yeah.
I got out here.
Wow.
But there was never, I don't know, my mind is always creating something. And so she just kept feeding it.
So who's been that hero, that inspirational force that's allowed you to evolve into where you're at today?
My mom, rest her soul, my
Yeah.
mom. And her last thing she did for me before she passed, was making sure I got to LA and had an apartment and was stable. And she left me 11 months later.
Wow. So
Mhm.
I'm curious, as a musician, What was the first live show that you saw that blew you away? What was the moment that made you think, I want to do that?
Oh my God. When I saw, okay, I'm about to age myself, the Commodores with Lionel Richie.
Wow.
That was the first concert I had ever gone to. But I also saw Stephanie Mills and The Wiz.
Yeah.
So I was just like, so the Broadway play situation, I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. And this was little Stephanie Mills. I think she was like 12, 13 or something. I don't know. She was really young.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want to do that. And then when I saw the Commodores, I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of what broke me open. But my dad, he would come home from work almost every night, go in our basement and just throw the music on, have his drink and his cigarette and sit down. I guess that was his relaxed time.
Yeah.
And we were listening to Marvin. I just go down there and just inhale Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross. But Diana Ross became my hero. So that, if you ever ask, like, who is that person, is Diana Ross for me.
Yeah. I remember as a kid seeing the Jackson 5 come to Kansas City,
Mm,
and it was that reunion tour, and I had never seen something on that scale and the way that people interacted with it. It's unreal when you see, especially when you see a choreographed group of people doing it. It's like, wow, that just there's just all kinds of things going on.
it is. And then I believe it or not, I used to be terribly shy. Like I didn't talk for the most part. And when I got in high school, I really wanted to sing. I really wanted to be a professional singer, but too timid. But I saw my freshman year, I saw this guy, he was you remember the group Shalimar?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was up there with some other folks. They were Shalimar. Oh my God. I'm like, these are kids, like they're in the same age as me,
Yeah.
And they're doing this. So I was like, next year I'm gonna try to be in the talent show. And I remember my prayer to God was, if I win, I'll pursue it. If not, I'll take that as don't do it. And won first place. And so here we are.
Yeah. So let's talk about the book, Loved You, Hated You. Give me an overview, kind of how long did this process, like from when you thought you were going to write this book to right now, what has this journey been like?
So first and foremost, Loved You, Hated You is a song on my first album that I wrote, which is loose. Well, the song was based off of an abusive relationship that I had been in for way too long. So I wrote the song, put it on my first album. Then as I'm listening to it, I actually saw a whole movie. So I wrote the screenplay. So during COVID, I forgot to mention this, we were in a production development deal for the movie. And then everything just went away. So fast forward to, I want to say March, April of this year, I got a call from the publisher and they were like, "Hey, do you have a book?" And I'm like, I didn't want to, you don't ever say no to people that's calling you for
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I got a book. And I'm like, somebody told me years ago to turn this screenplay into a book. And so that's really what I did. And so I had to fluff it out because, a screenplay is 90 pages. It's very, so I had to go in for a month and tweak it. And that's really the honest truth about how that became a book.
So take me into the book. Take me in, give me kind of an overview of the book.
So it's basically about a young woman named Gabby. She's in an abusive relationship with her longtime boyfriend. And he's very successful, very handsome. He takes care of her. He's got a lot of control over her. But then another successful man moves in next door to her who sees her. He actually runs into her in the hall and was like, whoa. And so he's like, he hears them fighting all the time. And he finally gets his opportunity to ask, hey, why are you in this relationship? And so that's kind of where the book kind of goes into, because everybody wants to know, why do you stay in an abusive relationship? So I kind of wanted to
Yeah.
dive into the why of why us abused women stay in these relationships we shouldn't be in, and we know we shouldn't be in. And then, of course, the other part of the story is, does she stay or does she leave?
Yeah. So to relive those memories, that's the thing about writing a book. That's hard. How did you get through that? How was that process?
And the guy that the book is about, when I posted it on Facebook, he gave it a thumbs up. So,
Wow.
but it writing the book at that moment, going through it, it was really because I know the story. At that time, it was just me fluffing the story out. truthfully, it didn't really get emotional until I started doing these podcast interviews
Yeah.
about the book because now I'm having to dive into what actually happened to me in
Yeah.
that relationship. So that has been where the emotional shock has been. Ironically, I was still actually talking to this person, even though that relationship was 30 years old, we still remain in contact. And he called me maybe a month ago. And that last conversation, that was when I was like, I don't want this guy in my orbit at all.
Yeah.
But look how long it took and look what it took for me to get to that point. I'm in a very happy, healthy relationship and was still with that. So it's like, we don't need that. But it's been more of an eye-opening experience to see what wasn't healed. Because my guy was coaching a football game one day and he left something. He called me, can you order this? And, he had all the stuff going on behind him. And I said, yeah. He says, okay, do it now. But he didn't mean to like do it now. But
Yeah.
something went back to that guy because it felt like my brain crisscrossed, like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And I got so offended and I told him he was so upset. He was like, I didn't. I was like, I know you didn't, but that was something that hadn't been healed. I
Yeah.
didn't even know that any of that was still in there. So
Absolutely.
talking about this is what's really been bringing up what's not healed, what I need to let go of, just more of a mirror,
Yeah.
because we're good at stuffing stuff down. And yeah, we're good. We're past that until we're not.
Until you're not. So if you can meet anybody on the planet right now that might be beneficial in your career, in your life, that you find intriguing, you could hang out with, who would you love to hang out with?
Travis Scott.
Right on.
Yeah.
I've been curious about him. How has he recovered from that tragedy in the concert? I saw him the other day, and it seemed like, and I've seen him a couple times since then, and it seems like he's just kind of in an existential mode. Like he's moving on, and he's going to the next place. But how is he doing?
I don't know. And it's so interesting you said that, because I saw a picture of him the other day. I'm all about reading energy, and I'm like, he just has not recovered
Yeah,
internally
yeah.
from that to me. I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know anybody that knows him. But if I had to guess, that's what I'm guessing.
How do you recover from that? I mean, that,
How do you?
yeah,
And it's so unfortunate because I really believe this is me, I think he got the bad end of the deal.
yep,
I'm an artist, so I understand how the
totally,
whole production situation works.
yep,
That whole situation is not on him. When you're on stage and all this chaos, and I can't even imagine the stages he's on, the noises and the crowds. How can you know what's really happening? You're there to perform and you have handlers and people that should be paying attention to that. um Whoever it was, I don't know, was it Live Nation, whoever it was,
yeah,
um, that's on you guys. You
yeah,
you know, and so it's so unfortunate that
yeah.
everybody's blaming him for something that the promoters, the venue, everybody else really was more responsible. And shame on them for not stepping in and saying, hey, that was us. Even if you only take a little bit, like, yeah, we could have done this a little bit better. Help him, but just to throw the whole blame on him, I think is so unfair.
And I think when something like that happens, it happens so fast. He was screaming from the stage. It wasn't like he just kept going on. He could have gone off stage. He could have done a lot of things, but he was yelling out there because he knew something was wrong.
Something was going on, yeah.
So to take the onus because of that, that's it's weird. But
Yeah, it
I
is.
but you'll hear interviews and read biographies of performers that, like, even when the Rolling Stones had the Hells Angels protect him and that guy died, they never got over that. Anytime a musician is involved in something like that, it just crushes them.
It does. It does, and it's so unfair. It's just
Yeah,
and he's such an incredible talent. I don't even
totally,
think he's touched where he's supposed to go.
totally.
But I think he's gonna have to heal whatever's going on
Yeah.
internally before he can get to that next level. And I really hope he does because I want to work with him so bad you don't even know. Travis Scott, I'm coming for you.
You're putting it out there. Yeah,
I'm putting it out there.
I mean, if he was big enough to get to this point, I'm sure he can overcome this as well and get to
Yeah,
that place.
yeah.
So let me ask you this. Speaking of having that energy, what when that alarm clock goes off, what makes you get up and to do all of these things that you do to become a creative force and to take care of your own soul? What is that energy for you?
It's a heavy energy because I do a whole um, religious practice before I get my day going. And I'm looking at 7 notebooks of different projects that I'm working on. So I have to prioritize what am I working on for today. And, I don't know what's wrong with me. I have adopted 3 dogs and a cat. I got a new puppy here
Yeah,
in addition to my son with his situation going on and then trying to keep this going. My days are really long and tiring, but
yeah,
um, I try to touch a project a day.
yeah. Well, I would imagine having animals around with where he's at and with you being busy, because I have animals all over the house, and there's a level of therapy that goes into them just being around,
Oh yes. Oh
you know?
yes. Oh yes. And then our new puppy, which I accidentally got, the car drove into the adoption place. I didn't even mean to do it.
Yeah.
And I was actually gonna give the dog to my daughter because I'm like, what the heck did I just what in the world? How did this happen? And my son got so mad and he was like, no, that's my dog. And I realized that really helped him. So he started
Yeah.
getting out and, so it's definitely therapy. And then our senior dog, he grew up with her. So I can tell she, what's so beautiful about her, because she's been with us 11 years,
Yeah.
she knows everybody's temperaments. So when he's sad, she just goes right in there. And I
That's it.
have so many pictures of them hugging and she's just like, you're my guy,
They know.
so they
We,
know.
we could save so much money in our legal system if we put babies and dogs in the jury box. And the minute that person walks in, it's over with.
You
You know,
know.
that's
You
it.
know.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah, you're guilty.
You're out. That's it. There's
Oh, you didn't do it. There's no way you could have done
it.
that.
100%. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight ran into the 16-year-old version of you, and you had a
Whew.
big coffee table book in your hands, and you handed it to her and you said, "This is how your life turned out," would that version of you believe it?
That version would believe the end result. That version would not believe the hell I've been through. Like, you've got to be effing kidding me. We're not doing that, right? That's not gonna really happen.
Yeah.
And then I might have forfeited the plan.
What advice would you give?
Stay strong.
Yeah.
Stay strong. This has been a hell of a ride for me. So I'd have to tell myself to stay courageous and stay strong.
Well, you would have to, especially with your son, because you have to keep yourself, because there's something about, I have a son that's on the spectrum, and there's a part of you that is always on coffee, on alert. You can't rest.
Never.
That takes a lot out.
It takes a lot out. So I am very people laugh at me, but I'm all about self-care. So
100%.
I have no problem just taking a day and like today's Tuesday, so tomorrow's my spa day. I will spend the whole day being pampered,
Yeah.
somebody taking care of me. And when I go get my pedicures, they're very expensive. And people are like, why do you pay that much just for somebody to paint your toes? I'm like, oh no, she does a whole ritual on my feet. And it's just I need that. That's what I do. And I watch movies probably. I go to the movies maybe twice a week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are my escapes. And those are the ways I keep myself sane and grounded and still being able to create because when I watch movies, I'm not necessarily watching the movie. I'm watching the aesthetics of the movie. I'm
Yeah.
watching that. I'm probably just critiquing, if you will, without critiquing.
So what was the movie early on in your life that was a light bulb moment that made you love cinema?
Mm, I can't even pinpoint that because I've probably seen a million movies in my lifetime and I have so many favorites. I don't know. I've been watching
Yeah.
movies since I was a child. Maybe Car Wash because my
Yeah.
brother's 10 years older than me. And so my mom would make me go with him on his dates. And they'd sit me like 2 rows in front. But maybe Car Wash because it had singing with the
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was probably Car Wash. Maybe
Right
it was like,
on.
wow.
So after this whole road that you've been on, everything that you've done and evolved to at this point, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
Surviving. And that's the God's honest truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Surviving and still being able to put myself out there.
Yeah.
It's so many no's in this industry. Like everything is no. No, you can't. No, you won't. No, not here. Not, we don't like it. We don't want you. We don't. It's so you're battling that
Yeah.
24/7 in this industry until somebody goes, Then you get the hmm. It's like, okay, well, maybe. And then finally you get a yes, But that's it's a survival technique. Like people that when I moved out here in 1989, it was a whole group of us, right? We were all new and we're getting ready to hit this music industry, blah, blah, blah. Out of all of those people, I think only three of us remain
Wow.
still working.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard a quote from Ethan Hawke the other day talking about how life is this absolute process of change and molding, and you're going to get bruised and you're going to get beat up, but if you keep evolving and keep your vision going, that's the beauty of it. Like how boring is it that you would be the same person that you were 10 years ago, right?
Or last week.
That's right. Or yesterday,
Seriously.
right? It's that relentless pursuit of being an artist too. Because
Correct.
because you got your psyche, and then you got your art, and then you got all family and all these other things, but
Hmm.
they all feed into each other. Like
Yes, they do.
your son will give you inspiration creatively, and while you're doing the comfort, it's like it's a symbiosis.
It
It's it's
really
it's a
is.
whole,
It
you know?
is. And actually, my son is an amazing music producer.
Yeah.
So, we're trying to get him out of this shell. Like he had, listen, he had record deals on the table
Wow.
when all of his mental health just declined.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it, but he's still in there making the most incredible beats. And
Yeah.
so actually, I'm releasing a new song, in 2026, and he and I are producing it. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Right on. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, colleagues, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm still learning.
Yeah, I
I've
dig it.
just now, I'd say in the last 6 months, decided, wait a minute, I don't have to listen to what you think I am and you think I am. Because we put on these hats for certain people,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm just now in that place where I don't give a damn. This is me. So I'm still discovering
Yeah.
who this person is, if you will, if I'm honest.
Yeah. But if you're alive long enough on this planet, you just don't anymore. It's like it just doesn't matter. All
It
that
does, you get,
youthful
man.
vanity, you know?
Yeah, you don't, and that is the beauty. Now, I will say that is the beauty of it because I really don't care much about the stuff. I remember when I moved out here, I would not leave the house without looking like Nikki Allen.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. Yeah.
now it's like I'm Nikki Allen, and don't fuck with me. Excuse my
That's it.
French.
No, you're good. It's good. No, I get it. I totally get it. So, if anyone wants to pick up a copy of your books, right behind you, right there, Loved You,
Yes,
Hated You, delve
yes.
into your music, any of the wonderful creative work that you're doing, where do people go?
Officialnikkiallen.com,
Okay, that
and
is official.
everything is right there.
I love it. What a wonderful conversation. Thank you for your
Thank
energy.
you.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
story. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet. And I will.